Hey there, Chadi Bazzi here, and welcome to another episode of the Top Listing Agent Show. Today, I am bringing you a guest who I watched him on some other podcast, and I was like, this guy is definitely a ball of fire. He speaks the real message, no BS, tells you exactly what you need to do to level up as he's leveling up in his business. And I'm very excited for this one. So, Joe, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Man, I got to get in touch with you every day. You're blowing my head up. I appreciate that opening.
Man, it's going to be like energy against energy today because I just love your energy. So for the people that are watching this and or listening to this, man, go get a cup of coffee to match our energy. You need two.
Amen.
Love it. So, Joe, look, a lot of people may not be familiar with, the name Joe Rosen. Did I say that right, Rosen?
Yep.
Awesome. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how awesome you are?
How awesome I am. Well, I sold real estate in my 20s up in Minnesota. It was chilly there. I was a hard worker, but I was inconsistent, and I was aware of that, thank God. So I decided I was going to join the Army to try to get a little bit more discipline, and it worked. It worked wonders. I was in for 10 years, got to experience the entire world, honestly. And we had two little girls. They're now 5 and 8. That kind of pushed me to get out of it. I think I served my time. I wanted to move on. And I had that bug, that itch. I wanted to get back into business. And I really like real estate, but I love business, man. It's like a big person's game. And it doesn't matter how good you think you are. The market's going to tell you how good you are. I love that aspect of it. I love competition. I love all of it, pushing myself, team building. So I really put 18 months together to build everything I could while I was in Washington State, knowing that I was going to move down to Port St. Lucie, Florida, right? Other side of the nation. And so I built my YouTube channel, The Joe Rosen Show. I built my Facebook page. I built my Instagram up because that's all I could do. I couldn't sell any houses. I wasn't even licensed yet. And I came down here to sunny South Florida. And I immediately, when I landed, I didn't know a soul, and I had 31 scheduled appointments. Wow. Now, those weren't all buyers and sellers. In fact, I would say probably 2/3 of them were just meeting the mayor and the biggest electrician and a builder and whoever, right? So I built a huge network. I tried to get into a networking group. I got the boot. I didn't make it because I had no name. I was a nobody. So I said, forget it. I'm going to start my own group. So we now have the biggest networking group in Port St. Lucie called the Port St. Lucie Networking Group. And we've built a ton of educational things, platforms, whatever, groups on Facebook to help out other agents. I'm huge on helping, just like I've heard you are. And we've built a team. I've only been here for 21 months. We've got 22 agents. And when you add our staff in, there's 25 total of us. And it's growing every day. I feel like weekly we're taking somebody on. So it's been an awesome ride, man. It's a good first 21 months.
It sounds to me like you're definitely playing the game right. And, first of all, I just want to say thank you very much for your service. We appreciate you and, people like you. And so the first thing that popped into my mind is, as you were speaking about this, you're moving across country from one end to the complete opposite end. And you still didn't have your real estate license, but you did have something without even saying it. You had a plan.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's huge, right? A plan and the goals attached to it and all that good stuff. Absolutely.
Right. And usually the goal comes before the plan. The goal comes before the plan. So I think that would be a good beginning to talk about on this podcast today. The importance of setting goals, and more importantly, setting goals correctly, because I think everyone has set goals, and from what I've gathered is the majority of the people that set goals don't reach the goals and or give up on the goals and never ever set goals again. And then they'll be like, well, I lost my mojo, I lost my motivation, etc. So can we talk about why it's important to have goals and how to set goals the right way?
Yeah, I mean, this could be a 3-hour podcast right here, but I really think that everybody wants the thing, right? The 100 grand, the million, the fancy house, the car, whatever it is. But really there's a disconnect between wanting it and actually being willing to make the compromises to make it happen. And one of the big mottos on our team, and I say it all the time, and every time one of my agents will wince, because they know it's coming. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? If you want to grow, growth is found in discomfort. And unless you're going after, like with acknowledgement, right? You are going after inconvenience and discomfort on a regular basis. You're going to have a tough time growing, and nobody wants to do that. I don't want to do that. Well, now I've kind of changed my brain. Now I think my brain kind of does want it, which is kind of sick and demented, but that's what I want, right? That's what I built. But when you have goals and you're able to achieve the things you want to achieve, I mean, that's what it's all about. And it's not about money, in my opinion. It's about the freedom that money gets you. It's about the lifestyle that you get. And if you really want it, the only way to consistently go after it is to build the goal, build the plan attached to the goal, because the plan might be wrong, right? You might not get the goal even with all the effort and the know-how. But if you've got a plan, you execute on the plan, now you know that's one way to not do it. So you can build a new plan and a new plan and a new plan. And trust me, I know the top guys and well, in a lot of things, but in real estate, they're failing all the time, right? That's the secret. The secret is fail, but fail fast.
Yeah.
And they fail super fast and they don't care about failing. They look forward to failing. I think a lot of people have reservations about failing, and it's viewed as a negative thing. In my circle, I'm sure your circle, it's not a negative thing at all. It's something you laugh off and you say, awesome, let's go do it again. And
it's just feedback.
Yes. You get that feedback. So you know, I think we're closer. We still failed, but now I'm going to try this little tweak, and that should get me a little bit closer. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. It doesn't even matter. What matters is you try it super fast. And when you get those goals, man, you snowball. And at first it's little things, but once you really start snowballing and you feel it, it really to the point now, it doesn't even have to do with business anymore. It's like a whole mindset change of just chasing discomfort and growth and challenge and not just Joe Rosen, right? Everybody around me, how do I build them up? Because holy smokes, you figure that out, that is more rewarding than any commission you'll ever make. So I probably went a little overboard on the answer there, but
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And that's exactly, going overboard, not going overboard. It's about really just not leaving any of the details out, because there's somebody that's listening to this right now, and what we are saying could ultimately change their life. And if we have the opportunity to spend an extra couple of minutes to do that, then you and I are both obligated to do that and give that to them, because at the end of the day, it's not just about one of the things that you mentioned, which is beautiful. Yeah, we want to make more money. We want the freedom that the money is going to give us. We want the lifestyle. And I think the greatest joy is having the ability to do impact, because then you'll be able to do more impact. So Joe, our model here with Top Listing Agent is we want to list more so we could sell more, so we could give more.
Yes.
And the more that one accomplishes, the more that they could give. And that's, in my opinion, the greatest gratifying joy that, we could ever experience. All right. So we get that it's very critically important to set the goals. And a lot of people go about setting goals the wrong way. Is there, let's say it this way, is there a right way or a wrong way?
Well, I definitely think that I've failed with goals, and so I find ways that I like to do it.
There's a better way.
Yeah, absolutely. So with me, some of the things that I include in any of my goal setting is, number one, it's got to be objective. Sometimes it's challenging, but you've got to find a way to find a number or a measurable, a metric associated with that goal. To just say, I want to be a better agent. What's better, right? Better to you and better to me is two different things. So let's define it. And then the second thing is adding a deadline. With anything, there should be a deadline. And while you've got annual goals and quarter goals, and those are all great things, I really think that chunking it down into daily and weekly goals is what you need to do. So cool, you want to go sell 20 million this year. That's awesome. But how do you chunk that down into what I need to do this week so you can focus on that? And then really accountability is the last big part. I don't care how good you think you are. I love me. I think I'm great. I'm a hard worker, but even I am going to have my days where I'm off. I need someone I trust who can be critical of me, and it still sucks, but I'm going to take it and say, you're right. Yeah. And I'm going to improve on it. What are your suggestions as a trusted outsider? They're going to tell me, and I'm going to move forward. And again, you've got that plan associated. So I can say, hey, mentor, this is the plan I used. I did execute. It didn't work. Okay, cool. Here's a new plan. Or I need to be honest and say, I had the plan. I didn't put enough effort into the plan. Okay, well, then we're not going to build a new plan. We're going to build a new Joe. You need discipline. You need motivation. How do we do that? And then you work on the person instead of the plan, right?
Yeah.
That's what we do.
You just mentioned two key words here. You mentioned the word motivation and you mentioned the word discipline, which we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes. I just wanted to make a mind note of that to have that conversation with you. So basically what you're saying is, Chadi, you need to be specific in identifying exactly what it is that you want. You got to have a deadline, and then you got to reverse engineer the plan, and then have someone either mentor you and or hold you accountable to that plan, because as you are going through that journey, there's going to be pitfalls, and then there's detours that you need to make. And sometimes it's hard for you to see it, and someone else can navigate you better through it than you could yourself.
Absolutely.
So that's the framework. So motivation versus discipline. You wake up in the morning, and not every single morning you wake up like, yeah, man, I got Joel's energy and I'm ready to take on the world and all this stuff. There's mornings where if you're human, you're going to wake up and you're like,
and the older I get, the more it happens.
Yeah. So it's like, how do we deal with that? Like, what is motivation? Where does it come from? When it shows up, how do we keep it? How do we make it last? How do we get more of it?
That's interesting. So we talk about this a lot too, right? And I'll start first with the difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation is, I just went to a Tony Robbins event and I am fired up. I walk the coals. I listen to this podcast, whatever it is. And I don't know how to describe it other than you just get the juices flowing. It's just a natural thing that just comes up. You can't control it. Why would you want to? And it just pushes you to want to be bigger and better. Now that's super fun. And there are ways to implement that. And I'll talk about that in a second. But there are going to be days, like you said, where you don't have that motivation. And when you don't have that motivation, you are a business owner. You're not an employee anymore. So you need to wake up and find the discipline to get the things done, whether you got the motivation or not. So really, again, with my whole team, we've got standards. You've got your goals, but you've got your minimum standards that, just like an employee, if you're cooking burgers at McDonald's and you're not flipping burgers, you're fired. You're fired. Now, if you can figure out a way to do it faster, give better service, awesome. Now we're talking about goals, right? That maybe you're the employee of the month or something, but at a minimum, you better flip the doggone burgers. If they burn, you're fired. You've got to have that same discipline with yourself and your business. And I think that's why, 87% don't make it in real estate over any given 5-year span. It's so easy. If you ask 100 people, why did you get into real estate? 99 of them are going to say freedom. But that freedom means so many different things to those different people. To 13%, the 13% who make it, it means I want to do the things necessary, everything, whatever it is, to succeed. So I have all the financial freedom, time freedom, whatever. 10 years from now, I'm going to earn it. To the other 87%, it means I want to not do anything whenever I want. I want to go to Little Jimmy's baseball game. I want to go to happy hour, and I want to do it right now. And those are the 87% who are going to fail, right? So going back to how do you create a little bit of man-made motivation, right? Because you don't know when Tony Robbins is going to call you to an event or you're going to happen upon one of these podcasts here. Really, I recreate it. I know who fires me up. I know I've got Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins is huge for me, Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, all the different people who fire me up. I've got them on a list. And it doesn't matter how I'm feeling that day. I know that this will mess with me throughout the day. So I put them on while I'm shaving, while I'm brushing my teeth, while I'm showering, and it is blaring in my shower, and somebody, one of those people I just named, is yelling at me how amazing I am, how I can do it. There are no hurdles too big, all these things you should be thinking. And when you do think, you're ready to roll. How do you not get a little bit of motivation from doing that, right? So that's the beginning. The second part is I've created things in my day. I know where my fail safes are, right? So I'll give you an example. I've got a group called the 7-Eleven Accountability Group on Facebook. Monday through Friday, I come on live at 7-Eleven and I give them something. Maybe it's mindset, maybe it's tangible, to improve themselves, improve their business. A lot of people are like, oh, Joe, that was super kind of you to do that. Okay, cool. Thank you. I'm glad you're getting something out of it. But I created that because I noticed that about 7 o'clock, I was sitting there looking at Facebook too much. I said, nope, not anymore. I'm going to 7-Eleven. That's the perfect time. I'm going to have a little podcast and it'll get me in this chair doing whatever. And then when I get out of this chair, I immediately hop into the shower, right? So that was for me, to force me to get off my ass and get going. So different things like that, you have to implement them into your schedule. You can't assume they're just going to happen. You got to make them happen.
So when you say you can't assume that they're going to happen, you got to make them happen. Now we're talking about the word discipline. Discipline, the definition of discipline is doing exactly what you know you must do regardless of how you are feeling in that moment. So I'm feeling like crap. Okay, so what's the solution? You know, Joe Rosen, Chadi Bazzi, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, etc. That seems to work for me as well. Okay. Yes. And it works for every single person. And then everybody be like, you want me to listen to another audio program? I go, yeah, even if you don't learn anything new, you're probably not going to learn something new, but that person is going to say something that's going to freaking damn shake you up, wake you up, and get your ass to freaking damn work to do a little bit more than what you'd have done anyways. So that's one thing. Is there another thing? So you do the Joe Rosen, 7-Eleven talk every single morning. You're doing that more for you, etc. See, what you've done, okay, is exactly what a strategist does. And a strategist is a person that says, okay, this is what I want, and these are the hurdles that are going to keep on showing up. What is the solution? And then when that moment of like not feeling good shows up, you already have the solution. Yep. Well, we've given people one solution so far because not everybody's going to go out there and create their own show. One solution is put someone in your ear to speak to you about how wonderful you are. Can you share like one more tip or one other thing that maybe you do or your team members do that just like gets you going?
Yeah. So this is I'll give you a couple. This is no unique statement, but the 5 people you hang out with the most is who you slowly start to become. If they're better than you, you're going to slowly start to raise your standards. If they're not, you're going to slowly start to lower your standards. So you control who those people are. And I'll tell you, 1 or 2 of them might be challenging. Maybe it's your mom or your brother, and they're just not that motivated. I got it, right?
No comments.
Yeah. But you can limit how much time you spend with those 1 or 2, and you've still got 3 or 4 slots. Put some monsters in there, right? Put some people in your industry, in your market, who you look up to, who are doing what you want to be doing in 5 or 10 years, who you look up to, who have integrity, and follow them. Buy them coffee. Do a Zoom call once every 3-4 weeks with them, right? There's accountability you can do. Maybe it's your broker, your team leader, whoever. So we implement that. We've got that all the time. I do fire meetings every 30 days individually with my guys. And then we've got daily huddles Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesday and Thursday are trainings with me. So these guys are with me at least 5 days a week, plus their fire meeting once a month. I am forcing them to be around each other and fire each other up, which leads to my second thing. In our huddles, and I'm going to get away from the team thing here. How do you implement this, right? In our huddles, we've got very specific things we do. I think it's really important to know our numbers. If I know my numbers and my numbers are lackluster, what's my response going to be? It's going to be, I need to pick it up a little bit today, right? So we're constantly talking about numbers. Just like Shark Tank, I've heard Mark Cuban say, I immediately know who's going to succeed. If they know their numbers, they're going to be successful. If they don't, I don't care what their product is, they're going to fail over the long term. And I've told these guys that you need to know, how many appointments am I getting? How many people am I adding to my CRM on a daily basis? How many follow-ups am I doing? How many listings do I need for a sale? How many sales to get a commission? How many, whatever, you need to know those numbers. So that's one thing we talk about. Then we've got exercises. So on Mondays, we talk about the training schedule coming up, and I ask them, what do you want added to this training schedule that's not on here currently? The second huddle, which is Wednesdays, I want you to share some big win from the last 7 days. I don't care if you lost 3 pounds. I don't care if it's a relation. It really doesn't matter. What I'm trying to do is force positivity into these guys' lives. Some of these guys are brand new agents with me, and they've been around negativity their whole lives. I want them to see positivity pumped into their lives, right? Manufactured into their lives. And then the third huddle, which is Friday, we go over, I want you to talk about some crappy thing that happened in the last 7 days. And really the focus is, what was your reaction versus what should your reaction have been if all you focused on was what you controlled? You didn't focus on complaining or how crappy that other agent was or how unprofessional this person was. You just dropped it all and you focused on what you could control. And I tell people on my team, when you can't get over the emotional part of that, then you get 30 seconds. You can bitch and complain and whine and moan for 30 seconds, and then you have to shut it off. And I'll even, as soon as they start doing it, I'll go on here and I'll start a timer and I'll listen. And as soon as it goes up, I'll be like, stop. Now, what do you control? Let's focus on it. So we get in that habit because I want new agents to know you control the outcome more than you think you do. If that's all you focus on, you'll control it more. If you don't focus on it and you complain, you'll control less. All of these different tasks, right? These little activities we do, it's just constant brain exercises to get you on the path I want you on, focusing on the things you want. But you don't have to be on a team. You can have a mentor, a coach, you can have your broker, right? These guys, they're making money off you. They owe you. They owe you. Make them produce or find a new doggone broker, a new team leader, a new coach. They owe you. And even if you can't do that, if you've got the discipline to write this stuff up and put it on your schedule periodically, answer to yourself at a minimum.
And that's the hard part, is to really be real with yourself and answer to yourself. But I think in your statement right now and the points that you just shared, it just totally demonstrates exactly what you mentioned, the circle of power, the people that you hang out with. Because the people that are hanging around you, you're doing your huddles, you're doing the trainings, you're asking them about their victories. It's like, what is the conversation that you're mostly having with other people? Because the conversation that you have with yourself most of the time is not a pleasant one until you train yourself to have more pleasant conversations. And you're absolutely right. Look, your broker is making money off of you, and if he ain't serving you, go find another broker. Nothing wrong with that. I love all brokers, and I know many great brokers. But at the end of the day, you're in this business for freedom and to serve your family and do good things for your family. So you gotta get the support. Now, I'll say this: with technology nowadays, we can create a virtual circle of power. So, a lot of the people that I hang out with, Joe, I've never met in person, and they're like my best friends. Like, we get on a Zoom call like that, or FaceTime, or WhatsApp, whatever they're into, and we're always in the conversation of like, hey, what you got going on? What did you learn? What book are you reading? Did you hear what Joe said on that podcast? Oh, there's this new thing. There's this new marketing strategy. See, when you're hanging around with people like that, you are just going to naturally be more and do more. Yeah. So very, very, very excellent point. So we talked a lot about like motivation, discipline, and all that good stuff so far. I want to segue because you started talking about like, tracking numbers and all that stuff. So and you mentioned that you're working with, you got a lot of newer agents on your team. So I'm going to pretend right now, let's just talk to the newer agent for a second. I'm a new agent, Joe, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, maybe 1 year into the business. Kind of like, not doing what I thought I was going to do. I thought the Mercedes was going to come with the license, and it didn't. So, and I say to you, Joe, what are 1, 2, or 3 things I need to do now to find new business?
The first thing we're going to do is we're going to get you on some pillars, right? So I want to get you on 4 pillars of prospecting eventually. When you're new, we're going to start with 3, right? So the first month, we're literally talking about, I only force 1. The only one that I force is cold calling. And I do circle prospecting. I think it's awesome for so many reasons. Number 1, you're never going to get more reps. It's the way to get the most reps, right? I also think it's just the most efficient way. It's the crappiest way. Nobody likes it. It's the most rejection, but it yields incredible results. And you'll hear people who don't do it and don't want to do it tell you it doesn't work. They're wrong. It works phenomenally well. So that's really good. I know we've got a triple dialer, and that triple dialer pumps out 141 calls an average hour. If you're having I would say it's a good day because you're getting more people talking with you. If you're getting a low amount of calls, 70, 80 calls an hour, you're having great conversations. If nobody's picking up, which is bad news, you can wheel through 160, 170 an hour. Like, it is the most phenomenal thing. And I always tell my guys too, there's nothing that's going to make you better faster, right? If you have an open house and you have a good one, you have 4 couples through, and you do that every weekend for 50 weeks, that's 200 reps you got at trying to sell that house. You can do that in an hour and a half on cold calling. So I love it, honestly. And I also think that you're going to deal with the most amount of rejection. You're going to get a lot less rejection dealing with expireds and FSBOs and open houses and networking than you are through cold calling. So if you can deal with that, you're going to be awesome. We also do Monday through Friday. We've got role-playing sessions at 8:00. So we'll give them some little thing, right? Whatever it is. LP Mom is a great example, right? Let's talk about location, price. M is, are you getting a mortgage? A is, do you have an agent? Whatever. We'll give them that up front, and then we'll put them into breakout groups. And then they're with one or two other agents. One of them is the client, one of them is the agent. And they just beat on each other, right? In a good way. And then we come together at the end and we'll say, okay, Bob and Jeff, let's hear how your conversation went. Bob, I want you to tell me 2 great things that Jeff did. And then I want you to beat him up on 2 things, and let's laugh at him a little bit. But I also want us all to learn, right? Let's have a good time with this. Let's make it fun, but also let's make it educational. If you can do all that, you get so good so quick. So that's one pillar. But then I also want them to get at least 2 the first month. After 2-3 months, we're going to get a 4th pillar. I want them to get something that they want to do. Right now, everybody wants to do social media, of course. So that's one of the big pillars that we focus on. I show them what to do. Again, we're giving them the numbers, right? We don't just say we're doing social media. I say, awesome. How many posts a week does that equal to? Of your posts, what percentage are video? What percentage are graphics? Are you putting hashtags in there? Are you tagging people? Are you responding to every single comment that you've got? And we track it all. Now, right now we're tracking, what's the word I'd use? It's all in an Excel spreadsheet. So they got documents they send to my team manager. She fills it all out. We get reports, but we're going to CISU. You know what CISU is?
I've heard of it. Yeah. I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's an online tracker. It just takes what I do, makes it way faster, more automated. It's prettier. You can build competitions into it. So I can say for my rookie agents, hey, sales don't matter. All that matters is how many phone calls are you making? How many doors are you knocking on? How many meetings are you holding every single week, right? Because anybody can do that. Honestly, you've got a leg up on me because I'm busy. I'm an appointment. So you can probably beat me. Go do it. Whoever does the most whatevers in a month gets a $100 gift card. Or it doesn't matter what the carrot is. Just give them something to fight for, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing. And the implementation of both the different ideas of prospecting and the tracking with Sisu to make it more competitive, more fun has really helped. But yeah, really whatever the agents want to do, we help them with a plan for that.
Cool. All right. So circle dialing, does that also include for sell by owners and expireds or just circle dialing?
We don't do that. I'm not against that. And I do have some agents who are starting to get into that.
Okay.
But right now it's literally a cold call. So what we're doing is we're finding a little neighborhood, whatever it is, and you'll pull up some solds in the last week in that area, get comfortable with that area for like 45 seconds. I tell these guys, we're not looking at this for 20 minutes. You get 45 seconds. You should be good at this. And then you pull it up and you just start calling. And when they pick up, hey, Bob, hey, this is Joe Rosen with EXP. How you doing, man? Awesome. So I'm just calling because there was a home 3 blocks down from me that sold 2 days ago. Just want to call and see if there's anything I can do to help you. Oh, no? Okay, cool. Well, let me ask you, if you did do something in the future, is there a realtor you'd use? Okay, gotcha. Well, I tell you what, one last question. Would you mind if I stayed in touch with you between now and whenever you do decide to do something? Great. What's a good email for you? And then you're just building up that database, and you've got drip campaigns. You can call them back. Newer agents can call them back while they don't have a big database. All these different things you can do, but you're just building that database up. And if you call hundreds of people with that, you're going to build it up. People do want to buy and sell.
100%, 100%. And I have a lot of clients that do that. And I got a question for you, just so, you know, I take a look at some of the metrics for you guys, because I know you're big on tracking. How many contacts, like, okay, so I'm a new agent and you sell me on the concept of doing this. I'll be like, okay, Joe, how many people do I need to speak to in order for me to have that breakthrough that I need to see as evidence that I am doing the right thing, et cetera?
Yeah. So what I say is, number one, it's snowballs. You're going to get a lot of people who say, we might do something in 6 months. We're working on redoing our kitchen. but we're just not interested now. Awesome. I'm excited to see that new kitchen. Would you mind if I gave you a call back maybe in 4 or 5 months and just ask you how that was going? I'd love to have you shoot me some pictures if that's okay. Yeah, Joe, that sounds good. Cool. I'll give you a call back. And then you call them in 3 months to see how their kitchen remodel is going, right? So you'll get a lot of that, but you'll also get, I've got a great video out there right now where I got 2 people who said, maybe I would do something if my house is worth enough. Okay, awesome. I'd love to come over and meet with you, and we can go over exactly what your home is worth. No pressure. If you want to do something, great. If you don't, you'll never hear from me again. Not a problem. And I think one of them, this is from memory, one of them said, okay, come over. We scheduled an appointment. The other one said, I'm not comfortable to do that yet. I said, cool. I tell you what I can do. I can look up all your statistics for your home on the county website. It's not going to be as accurate as if I were to come in, but it'll at least get you in the ballpark. I'll give you the lowest possible number you'd probably sell for, and I'll give you the highest. And then if you like any number in between, you can invite me over whenever you'd like, and I can show you where you're at in that area, right? And so I'll do a recorded video, and in that video, I'll show them the comps. It's a shared screen. They can see everything. I'll send it to them. It's branded. It's got my beautiful logo on the front. It's got all my information, the details. Also, it's on YouTube, so I can see, have they watched it or not? How many minutes did they watch it? Did they go back and watch it multiple times? So I can see how interested they are in it. And a lot of times I'll get a call back. Hey, Joe, that was a really interesting video, but you said I was worth somewhere between 350 and 4.25. Not interested at 350, very interested at 4.25. Okay, cool. Well, if I come over there, I can tell you based on how your home looks, where you're at. Would that work? How does Tuesday sound? So you get a mixture of those. But to answer your question directly, I tell guys in the first month, from cold calling alone, expect 1. Second month, expect 2. Third month, expect 3. Fourth month, expect 4. But we're also doing 2 things. 75 calls a day. I don't care how many pickups you're getting. It doesn't matter. We do talk about, like, hey, if you're seeing these numbers, those aren't good pickup rates. You need to find a new area, right? But they've got other pillars they're working on. It's not just cold calling.
Right.
It's 75 a day. And then you have to make 100% of your follow-ups. So they're taking all those people and they're putting it into their CRM. They're attaching the stage, which attaches the action plan. When they pop up, you have to call them back that day. If they do those 2 things, that's what we're telling them they should expect.
All right, so you heard it here. If you're not picking up the phone and you want to take your business to the next level, then Joe and Chadi are saying 75 calls every single day, and then expect 1 thing in the next 30 days, 2 things from day 30 to 60, and then the snowball effect will begin 90 to 120 days in, where you start getting a lot more, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 9, 10, 15.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen it happen over and over and over again. The key is being consistent, and not only consistent in making the calls, but consistent in following up when that pop-up comes up saying it's time to call Joe back and find out how he's done with the kitchen. So Joe, one of the things that also in the dialogue that you were sharing, what I'm sensing is you're just having a conversation. You ain't like pitching anything, you ain't selling anybody, you ain't making anybody uncomfortable. You're just looking for ways to serve and find out if the person, legitimately needs your help or not. So there's no attachment.
No. And that's a great point. And I think it's important. Like, I can't tell you how many people have said, Joe, what's your script? And I'm like, listen, like, I'll give you my script, but if that's your problem, you should be able to get through the scripting part in 1 or 2 sessions. Yeah. Once you've said it 100 times, 2 or 3 times, you shouldn't even be thinking anymore. It just flows out of your mouth. The only time you need to think is when they say something a little bit off. And when they say something a little bit off, that's your opening. If somebody even hesitates, hey, I just want to call and say, oh yeah, we're not really interested. Interesting. I noticed a little bit of a hesitation there, which makes me think that you might have something you're thinking about. Can you describe that to me? And then well, this is what I was thinking. This is why I hesitated. But you've got to be aware enough to get all that stuff right. But yeah, if you make that amount of calls, you're going to get that amount. And going back to the snowball effect, I want to explain that a little bit. It's not that you're just getting better. That's a big part of it. You are getting better. But it's also all the maybes from quarter one, all the maybes from quarter two start turning into yeses if you're following up. So it's not just that you're getting better. You're making the same amount of calls. It's that all those maybes are starting to click, and you're building your reputation. You're getting a lot of referrals from people who closed from cold calls. It grows so fast, so big.
I love it. I love it. And, in doing that, from my experience, because I've done thousands of those kind of calls, and my clients still do right now, a lot of times you get people that say, well, just send me some information.
Yeah.
So what do? You just put them in the database and you drip them, or do you send them, or do you have like an online video you send them? I'm just curious to find out what you guys do.
Yeah, we get that a lot. And 99% of the time, they're not truly looking for whatever you're about to send them, right? It's just the nice way to say, leave me alone.
Thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So I will send them something, but I try to send them something that I think is as genuinely helpful as possible. So there's got to be something unique we talked about. And if we didn't, I'm going to send them something specific to their neighborhood, specific to the city taxes, specific to something that impacts them. And then after I send it, I'm going to put a reminder in my CRM 2, 3, 4 days later to contact them and say, hey, Jenny, I sent you that article about how we're getting a new splash park in the area. I know you said you had 2 little kids, and I thought you would really like that. I just want to make sure you got that. Yeah, I got that. What do you think of that? I thought they were going to put ballparks in. Splash park, that kind of surprised me. Do you like that? And then you're trying to build that dialogue and build a little bit of rapport, right? And it's not always going to work. Sometimes they're going to be, Joe, go screw yourself. Awesome. Yeah. Have a great day. But sometimes it will build into that relationship and you'll get them to open up a little bit.
Right. Keyword is relationship. And that's exactly what you're doing is you're opening up a relationship and then you nurture the relationship. And Joe, you sound like you're very quick and clever in a good way in terms of like how you carry the conversation, continue the conversation forward. Most people really don't feel like they can do that. And I know there's someone saying, well, I wish I can think like you. I wish I could speak like you. Yeah. I want to be like you, Joe. How can I get like you, Joe?
Reps. Listen, we all start somewhere, right? We all were horrible real estate agents on day one. We all were. And the only way you're going to get it is reps. And if you can get comfortable failing your ass off really fast, you're going to move so much faster, right? So, looking at some of the things we implement, those role-playing sessions are huge because you're going to get all kinds of manufactured rejection and you're going to have to figure it out. And when you aren't figuring it out and you just fail, we're going to come into the critique portion and then somebody else is going to say, I got an idea. You could have said this. Yes, that would have been very natural. I could have said that and that would have helped. And then next time when you get into a situation kind of like it, you're going to use that line and it might work. It'll probably work. And now you're moving forward better, more cleverly or, witty, whatever it is. Or you might fail. And whatever Tom told you in that session sucked and it just didn't work. It doesn't matter. Now you figured out how not to do it. And because you're role playing, you're figuring out how not to do it fast. And even though Tom's idea was bad, Samantha's idea is going to be great. So if you try hers on the next call and you see that it works, now you're just going to keep using it because you see it works. Everything I'm saying, I mean, it's authentic, it's genuine, it's my
100%,
thought.
Yeah.
But my mind is also moving so much faster and smoother because of the reps. Like I've done 1 million of these podcasts. I've done 1 million cold calls. I've done 1 million negotiations where people are trying to beat on people. You don't even think about it anymore. I just know if you say A, I say B. If you say Z, I say C. It's just do. And the only way to do it is to get reps.
Okay, so 30 minutes a day minimum would be a good starting point. You think 30 minutes,
yeah.
60 minutes?
Yeah, especially if you're new. And I would make a big portion of that your listing presentation.
Listing presentation. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm telling you, the bulk of my program revolves around the listing presentation because lead generation is easy. Lead conversion is the name of the game. So what I found, let's see if you agree with this, Joe. What I found is that when you get very good at your listing presentation, you by default get very good at lead generation.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Yeah, and everybody wants to role play. How do I set appointments? I'm like, why don't you just role play? How do I convert the appointment? And you'll get better. at your lead generation. Awesome. So Joe, I got another question for you. And the question is there a question that I should have asked you by now that I did not ask you that I need to ask you?
Wow. That is a great question, thinking as a salesman. No, man, I'm huge on goals. I'm huge on motivation and discipline. We talked about a lot of the different ways to do that. Accountability is huge. No, you're hitting all the great things. Usually I got answers for everything, but see, even I'm falling short here.
No, you're not falling short. It's all good. It's a trick question. So I ask everyone to say, everybody gives me the same exact response. Can you recommend just one book and one audio program that everyone must pick up ASAP and study the heck out of it?
Just one.
I know there's many. I'm like a bookworm, but just one book and then just one audio program.
Yeah. So just kind of on the topic that we are on here, I think it's called Atomic Habits. Right?
Yeah, very good one.
Yeah. And I don't remember who wrote it, but really what I see agents fail at is they're going to listen to this. They're going to listen to Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, and they're going to do this. Great ideas, Joe. I love it. And then they're going to go to happy hour and they're going to execute this much of it.
Exactly.
When you read that book, it will point out all of the little habits you either have that are bad or good that you're not maintaining. And it shows you the simplest, easiest things for this big human brain we got to connect to make sure that you're implementing them in a way that makes it easy up here, right? It shows you how to do it. And I'm telling you, there are so many little tricks that make it so easy and will improve you quickly. So yeah. I think that that's a great one. Audio programs, I don't really follow any programs. I'm more of a book guy or, a simple podcast, like a one episode thing. But I'm gonna cheat here probably. And I'll tell you, if you're looking for some of that manufactured motivation, I don't know that I've ever had a better book that I've read. Now I'm not going to be able to think of the name. David Goggins. What is it? Can't hurt me. Can't hurt me. The dude had the worst childhood. And the first half of the book, you're like, man, my life is amazing, no matter who you are. And this really isn't motivating at all. But you see a dude with all those issues rise up. And honestly, the audio is way better. Yeah. Because in the middle, it's him and whoever wrote the book talking about the things he was thinking and dealing with, all the background thoughts. I don't think it was scripted at all. It was very genuine. And this dude doesn't give a damn. He doesn't care how much his body hurts. He does the most ridiculous physical stuff. And he'll tell you, once you get so far in the physical world, it's not physical at all. It is all mental, all of it. And once you figure out that is mental, the ridiculously easy stuff that we do as salespeople just sitting at a desk, it makes it sound like it's a piece of cake. You just got to put effort in. So once you get that mentality, and again, the audio is amazing. If that doesn't motivate you, just get out of the industry because nothing's going to motivate you, man.
Exactly. It's funny. I was watching one of his videos maybe a couple of hours ago. And one of the things that he was talking about is like how you got to stop worrying about what other people think of you or think about you. And I see that there's a lot of people in real estate that care so much about what other people are going to think that it prevents them from even taking their first action. So I agree that's a great audiobook to listen to. So thank you very much for that. Joe, I'm loving your energy, man. I think we could talk for hours, but for the sake of our, respect out of your schedule and stuff like that, I don't want to hold you up for too long. And I know there's someone that's either watching this video or listening to the podcast and they're saying to themselves, man, yeah, this guy's got Tony Robbins and this guy's got Grant Cardone. I want me a little bit of Joe. Yeah. How can they get Joe?
Well, I'll tell you, we've got a whole slew of things that we do for free, right? And one of them is the 7-Eleven Accountability Group on Facebook. I'm in there every morning at 7-Eleven Live. If you ask me for anything, it'll be on the show the next day, right? Assuming nobody else has. It's very interactive. We've also got something called Agents Academy. It's every other Thursday from 11:30 to 1 Eastern Standard Time. Go to Treasure Coast Alliance Live, and you'll see the videos. They're live every single week. Me and my good friend Alex Haig, who's got a phenomenal team. I think his team did like 40 million last year. So he's got a good producing team. We're giving you different things, right? One week we talked about in-depth CRMs. The next week we talked about triple dialers. The next week we talked about the data providers. The next week we talked about Zillow leads and how that works, right? We'll get into all the things people want to hear about in depth, and you can write in your questions and we'll answer them live. So we do that every other Thursday. We got a slew of other things, and all this training we do, the Tuesday and Thursdays that I do live from 11 to 12 Eastern Standard Time. My buddy Alex Haig does all of the, what's it called? The role playing 8 to 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't care what brokerage you're with. I don't care who you're with, what you're doing. If you're on a team, it doesn't matter. You can show up and take part in any of that, and it's free.
I love it. So did he say Treasure Coast Alliance.com?
Yeah, so where we're at in South Florida is called the Treasure Coast. So it's the Treasure Coast Alliance space live for live videos.
Okay. So because what we will do is we want to put it in the show notes, because there's somebody who's driving around and they're going to be like, I can't remember that. So just go to ChadiBazzi.com and find it in the show notes. And you said the 7-Eleven's done where? Is it on Facebook or?
Yeah, it's a private group. You just got to ask to get in, and I let anybody in. So you just get on in and you can listen. It's 7-Eleven, like the time, right? 7:11 accountability group.
Love it. Love it. I'll definitely check that out myself. And then anyone that's watching this or listening to this, make sure you go check it out. And brother, I appreciate you taking your time today to be with us and, helping us serve more people. So I'd love to continue this conversation with you, and hope to do a round number 2 sometime in the near future. Thank you.
Anytime. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.